Well, thanks for joining us for our very first edition of our Club Hero series. I'm delighted to welcome Craig Hill from the Karaka Club to be our first guest. And I think it's really fitting given what happened last year. Mate, I wouldn't say with club politics being the way it is and everyone being so parochial that Karaka were popular winners of the McNamara Cup last year, but I don't think anyone in the region would have a bad word to say about you. And I think most people were pretty satisfied to see you finally win a McNamara Cup after all those years of work that you put into the club. Mate, let's go back to the start. How did you get involved with Karaka? Were you basically born into the club?
Yeah, I was basically born into the club. Lived there all my life. The father owned the dairy farm, which is opposite the current grounds. My father had played for Karaka, but not only Karaka, he played for Rira and Papakura because of that. Karaka was in a senior B competition, weren't in the top grade, and he was actually played for counties, did one game for counties, and he tells me he had about 20 odd on the bench. He was behind someone else. So, grandfather bought a farm there when he moved up from Taranaki. So, born and bred there, basically. Born up there, went to Rosal College, and haven't moved far, to be fair.
What's your sort of earliest memory playing or being involved in the club? Do you sort of have one that stands out?
Hey, good and bad. We had a club trip. We used to always go and play against Waihi Club. Used to be a club exchange thing, and I think I was about 8 or 9, and we came back and bloody house was on fire. So I do remember that. Aside from that, I remember going watching Karaka seniors play when I was a young fella. They had the one team down at the old grounds at TE there, opposite TE school. And probably from a playing perspective, played Goldfields a couple of years there. It's only a little fella. And then I do remember quite fondly back in those days, the old man was quite staunch on club rugby. So we used to have a club team. We used to play against the schools. And but the only way they let us into the competition was we had to play a couple of grades above. And I always remember that quite fondly because we did pretty well, but the rugby was awesome. Like every week it was game on, and you do learn a lot. You learn that you need to be, you need to be there every week, otherwise you're going to get a hiding. And I think that was, it was a big part of, I guess, my growing up through my rugby.
Mate, your playing career, you played with distinction at Karaka some tough times down in what was the second division in those days. You're also part of the side that won promotion back up into the McNamara Cup, into Division 1, where Karaka have been a powerhouse basically ever since. Just tell us a little bit about your playing career at senior level and any of the moments that stand out in particular.
Yeah, if you work through a budgie, I think I was bought. Rusty Campbell's our coach. He was a coach at Karaka, and I was playing under 19s, and he asked me to come up and start playing senior rugby partway through the 1988 season. And I do remember the first game. It was at home. We played Waiuku, and we won 13-10. It was the first time Karaka had ever beaten Waiuku. And then a couple of weeks later, we managed to beat Puki at Puki, which was a first also. So that year went pretty good. Following on from that, as you said, it was a bit up and down. 1993, we won the second division and got promotion to the first division. We also won the county sevens that year, which, that was against all the big boys. So that was pretty cool. And moving through there, it was once again, we lost a few second division finals and couldn't get up until we won that promotion in 2000. And then, hard road, 2001. I think we drew one game against Papakura, who'd won it the year before. But, we took a couple of hidings that year. And then 2002, won one game. But 2003, we actually started to knock a few teams off. In 2005, first semi-final. And that was basically the end of my club playing days.
So. You moved into coaching. You've been a long-time coach of the Karaka side, a couple of different stints, obviously with a break or so in between. But through that period, as I say, an absolute powerhouse of club rugby. Obviously a lot of that is to do with your coaching, but also the people behind you at the club. It's in great stead at the moment. Just, talk us through the last, say, 15 years or so where heading into about this time last year when you'd made a number of those finals, you'd been arguably the team to beat most years, but that monkey on your back of not actually winning a McNamara Cup. How much of a factor was that in your thinking and your thought process preparing for last season?
Not so much. I think every year, coaches will probably say, every year is a little bit different, that you do have different players, so it's not the same group. So it's not like you're trying to win it again with the same group or anything like that. So, with different players comes different strengths and weaknesses, and it's just managing to, put plans in place to making sure that, whatever advantage we think we've got over the opposition that we are using based on the boys that we've got. So it is a little bit different. But I guess, it's probably easy for me to say like that, but for other guys, if we talk about, and I know you brought it up after the fight, guys like Baden and Jamie who'd been in finals and hadn't done it, I guess it's the doubt must be there. I think looking back, hey, we've been told we're chokers and all this sort of thing, but I think 2014 we would have been the favourite going into against Bombay, but I don't think any of the other finals we were the favourites, and we just probably weren't quite good enough. 2015, I thought that final against Bombay, I thought that was a great game of rugby. It was counter punch. We'd come back, they'd then score. And we had a chance, we had a loose forward. Tussie, remember it? Vonga was 9, and Tussie came on a short ball, and Vonga probably just really bloody barreled at him, and he knocked it on. Whereas if he had caught it, it was probably the final over. But, knock on scrum. And Bombay were clinical. They just got down there and used their pack and drove over, and that was a game over. 2017 final, probably to be fair, we probably achieved a bit higher than we probably should have for the boys. I know that's not in a dismissive of our boys, because there were quite a few young fellas on that side, but I thought they did bloody marvellous to get there. And they obviously last year, bit of criticism over a couple of things, but one man doesn't win you a bloody game of rugby, so
he certainly didn't
have an impact. The trophy,
didn't have an impact in the final. That was one with the players that were on the field for the majority of the 80 minutes, and an outstanding performance. As I say, I mean, people talk about not winning those finals leading into it because I think the calibre of player was so good that you fancied that they deserved to be champions. That you talked about Baden and Jamie and others there that have had such glittering careers, and it was sort of the missing piece. And to tick that off, and likewise you as coach, to tick that off, what does that mean? Looking back now, 10 months on, does it mean as much now as, after everything you went through, does it mean more, I guess, than what it might have had you won one earlier on?
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. When you sit over Christmas and just think about it all, and you think, oh, shit, it actually happened, It's, because, hey, I wasn't sure in those weather conditions whether we'd have the I guess the grunt against that Ardmore side. They've got guys, they've basically got a Steelers pack, and I think, we had no Steelers forwards other than, Sakobi coming off the bench, and whether we could be in the grind against them. And for both teams, it wasn't really the conditions that we like to play in. So I'd really do take my head off to our boys that we adapted a lot better than what they did. And, I think we all agree Baden had a masterclass, didn't he, in those conditions. You couldn't ask for anything more that day. He was booters. Yeah. And hey, the gods were probably looking down on us because that period in that second half where that wind was plus, and it was pissing down with rain on it, and trying to get out of that area, that's 22, was impossible. So, we just had to keep our head and play it pretty simple, and we got to line out drives, try, and then, boys rang, he scored under the post from basically the same sort of thing, just going around the corner. And, it's, nothing too glittering, which probably not sort of Karaka Rugby, but the application from the boys was awesome. Yeah, it was great, eh? So.
Yeah, the final moments, I think we put the highlights up. They're on Facebook and on the website and whatnot. And they've had a fair few views over summer. And I imagine, everyone involved at Karaka has enjoyed the last few months. Mate, as I said before, it takes a lot of people behind the scenes, a lot of people that are running the club, that do the sort of hard grind and perhaps don't necessarily get the glory for it to make the club into the successful organisation that it is. Just a wee bit, if you don't mind, on the people that have assisted you and the team over your time there and how good they are, because they're an envy of most clubs in the region, that's for sure.
Yeah, just probably on a general basis, just the community. The locals do come down and support the team, home or away. On personal levels, I just probably take my hat off to the previous guys that were coaching there. Bruce Parkinson come in. He's the one that got us up, and then Pat Flavel took it on, and he made a semi-final and a final, and sort of just all builds the basis. And I guess it gives guys confidence that they're coming to our club, that they know that hopefully we are going to be in contention for semi-finals, finals. Once you get to semi-finals, mate, it's all on the day, isn't it? So, but if you get into that top four, you go from there. Individually, every club needs sponsors, don't they? It's just so hard now with the trust money. There's basically nil for clubs. So big hats to our sponsors. We've had Aaron Hall from Navigation Homes and Terry Lyons. Worker secretary. She's really onto it, and I know Lynn always pushes our case with the delegates, and she keeps the other guys on their toes. So she does a great job for us in that area. But we just have a lot of support from the local people, really.
Yeah, no, it is certainly a club going places, and no surprise that you've managed to fashion the record you have over the years with the quality of people you had behind the scenes, helping drive all of that. Mate, last question before we finish up here. What does the future hold for you? Obviously, back again as defending champions, you've got to defend the McNamara Cup now. Everyone's sort of got you in the crosshairs as such. So it's a unique position this year. What's left for you to tick off? Because you've basically done everything there is to do in club rugby as both player and coach now. And where do you sort of see yourself over the coming years?
Hey, look, everyone says to me, "Oh shit, you're doing this job again." But I've got two boys that are playing now, so I only live down the road, so why not get up and help the club? It's where I was brought up, and where I enjoy going socially as well. So probably on a personal level, not too much really. My joy gets seeing guys make their Steelers debuts, and we've been lucky enough to have a couple of boys that came to us from school who have gone on to pretty big things. Sione Malair, New Zealand Sevens, and he's just won Auburn. He's played Super Rugby, Baden Super Rugby. Guys like Ray Lilo, who he had some personal issues before he came to us, but look at what he's done now. It just fills you with a lot of pleasure, really. So my thing is, I enjoy the coaching. I certainly, as I said, team's not the same every year, so you get to work with different guys and that. So it's not like it's the same old. So we'll see how we go, Budgie, and see whether we're still enjoying it or not.
Well, mate, congratulations on everything you've achieved to this point, as both player and coach. Thank you for your contribution to to rugby in this region. I think all clubs would endorse that, and best of luck for the season ahead, mate.
Yeah, there is a lot of challenges for the clubs, isn't there? And I think we've all really got to get behind each other, I think, in a lot of respects, so that, we do have opposition to play against, because it's pretty boring playing the same old all the time. So I think we've all just got to be aware that, whatever a club needs to do to keep themselves going, that's their business. It's no one else's business. And, just get out there and field some teams and have the competitive spirit, but we'll work together the same stage, and let's help Rion, the Steelers, because nothing better than going on the bank on a weekend and watching the Steelers play good rugby, So
yeah, absolutely. Well said, mate. Well said. Appreciate your time, and best of luck for the 2022 season.
Thank you.